Fund is an organization that was founded about 40 years ago, and it's a very special organization. It's based in Israel. It's an Israeli organization. 40 years ago, some forward-thinking philanthropists from around the world, interested in Jewish education, said it's very important for Israel to give back to the diaspora communities some of the resources that we as Israelis have in Jewish education. We decided to work, the organization was set up to work with diaspora communities around the world, not including the United States, in order to provide resources for Jewish education that in many countries are lacking. Over the 40 years, the Pinkus Fund was involved with all sorts of Jewish education projects. It didn't really make a difference. Not that it didn't make a difference. It was important, what the project was, but it could be within any kind of project that had to do with Jewish education. If people wanted to do a special class in their schools, we would often support it. If they wanted to open up a Jewish kindergarten, we would support that. And we continued to do that up until about 4 years ago, when we decided that we had to take a look at the strategy to make sure that the money that we were supporting these communities and these projects with were really having an impact in the Jewish community. Not just, touching a few people and then disappearing into the atmosphere, but rather something that would have a long-term effect on Jewish communities. And unfortunately, over the last number of years, the whole status of Jewish education in countries and diaspora communities is not getting better, but rather we see less people sending their children to Jewish schools, less young people considering Jewish education as a career choice. And we realize that, without good Jewish educators, there really can't be good Jewish education. And in many countries, parents will choose to send their children to schools where the emphasis is more on STEM subjects and less on Jewish studies subjects, because the general education often in Jewish schools is not at the top level. Mexico is a perfect example, I think, a good example to take. The importance you see in this community that there's very little assimilation, that people remain very, very connected to their Jewish traditions, to their Jewish communities, even if they're religious or if they're not religious, they have a strong connection to being Jewish. And Mexico, I think, is very unique in this, because in other countries, they don't have that strong community to hold them within. When kids stop going to Jewish schools and getting a Jewish education, within a generation or 2 generations at the most, very often we lose these children or these people, these future Jewish leaders and community members. We're kind of losing them to the rest of, we're losing them from the Jewish community. So if you have strong Jewish educators who are giving really, giving a very strong background in Jewish education, you will have kids continuing to come to these schools. It's also very important that the secular or the general education be at a high level as well, to be able to get them to come into the schools, to go through 12 years of school in a Jewish environment. This will affect them probably for the rest of their lives, who their friends are, who they marry, what their children, where they're going to send their children to school. So our focus really has become improving, professionalizing, making sure that Jewish educators have degrees in education and are not just educators that studied in high school and can come in and teach Jewish subjects, but without the pedagogy that's needed to do it the right way. We also need organizations like Hebraica and other organizations around the world to be able to provide that very strong educational basis and knowledge to future educators. What I would say to them is, first of all, kol hakavod to you for doing this, because we understand that the role of Jewish educators, or the way that they're perceived by their communities, is often not the way they should be perceived. People that are going to Jewish education are making a difference to the future of the Jewish world. And it's what we call avodat kodesh. You know, you really have to go in there and be willing to give of yourself, and you know that you're doing that when you're probably not going to have the best salary, when you're not going to be esteemed as much by fellow community members. You know, for us, if we can make the career a real career that offers people a place to advance, that offers, you know, good salaries, that offers them possibilities to be part of a larger network of Jewish educators from around the world, then, you know, we will increase the prestige of the Jewish educator, and therefore we think also increase the number of people that are willing to make this thing stand. At the moment, they don't really have that, you know, setup in place. But our goal, in a sense, is really to see if we can't make it, especially in today's world, which is a global world, where you don't have to travel from place to place to have contact with other people in your field, that there's a real possibility that this can, you know, sort of change the way people perceive Jewish education as a career, and excite more people to come into it, young people to join the field. Well, let me say that I've said since I've been visiting here for the last couple of days that I think that Mexico is in great shape. I think that the strength of the Jewish communities is amazing. I think that they are keeping people within the community, and that's something that's really worthy of praise because, as I said, sadly, in many other places in the world, that's not the case. Mexico seems to be like really a shining example of what you can make happen if you have the right organizations, players, interest, commitment in place to continue being, you know, top Jewish educators. And I've seen, even while I'm here, that I've been speaking with the students that are participating in the LOFIC program. I see the passion that these people have, and I see that they have role models that are really helping them, you know, that they can see through their role models that there really are great possibilities in being a Jewish educator. Well, the commitment of the community to look after and make sure that this Jewish community continues to be a strong community. Unfortunately, in many places in the world, they're losing people because they don't have these central organizations and you know, supporting the Jewish educators and Jewish education as a good, important field that will continue to provide, you know, Jews, you know, will continue to keep people inside this Jewish environment. I just want to say, if the Mexican Jewish community is watching this, I want you to know that I think that you are doing a wonderful job, even maybe not without realizing what a wonderful job you're doing, and that you have many, many strengths here that sadly a lot of other communities don't have, and you should, you know, give it the importance that it is, and continue to think about that. You've been here for generations, and you continue to have 95% of your students studying in Jewish schools. It's not something to take for granted, and it's something that you guys are doing right. That's making this perpetuate itself.
Thank you again.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
You're very welcome here.
Thank you for hosting me. It's been a lovely, amazing, eye-opening couple of days, and I have only good things